Hello everyone and welcome to this special episode of Let's Play WoW Awakening. An episode I probably should have done like in the first place, but I don't know. Like there were a few things that I wanted to address earlier, but here we are. I will finally showcase like the picks and the talents, my stat allocation, all that stuff. I will go down the different skill trees one by one. Just showcase what I've picked and also what the thought process behind it was. So if you're interested in that, then be my guest. I think after we are done with this, I will also maybe kill a few mobs so you can see the damage output we currently have going. But yeah, until then, just a few things to showcase here. So yeah, first of all, the stat allocation. So as you can see, this is more of a PvE build right now. I spend nothing in stamina and a lot of in agility and also intellect. Reasoning behind that is that, well, all the talents that we picked and also our own racial from the gnome, they highly profit, of course, from having a lot of stats. And so that's the thing. That's why I pretty much went with such high agility. It greatly increases our DPS. We have a lot of talents that just say increase agility by like 15%. And yeah, the intellect, I thought about maybe putting some more intellect even into the build, but this is like enough right now to sustain boss fights and everything, and also like to just kill enemies in the environment. I mean, it's always worth as a gnome to, I guess, pick some more intellect. I also have like a talent I will showcase later on that increases my attack power based on intellect, so that's also kind of nice, I presume. But yeah, agility for me, it's just the way to go right now as a hunter, of course. It's your best bet, and yep. So that's the reasoning behind that. Leaves us pretty squishy, like regarding PvP, I mean. I guess also PvE in some way. So yeah, that's a big deal. But I don't want to address this too much more. I mean, I made my case like in the earlier video where I talked about how well unbalanced this build right now is because we just simply could not decide on doing PvP or PvE, and that's why, well, this is by no means a really good build right now. It does a lot of DPS though, and as I mentioned, I will showcase this later. But yeah, for now, let's take a look in the talents. So we have 2 talents, I think, in Restro, and that is only improved Mark of the Wild. Of course, I mean, it's worth it already by just picking up for the 2% stat improve in the character itself. I think that's really nice, but since we are going with Mark of the Wild anyway, it's just a really nice pick. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't need it that much. I mean, 2% is nice, but one thing you always have to keep in mind, and that also led to some mistakes by me, because I didn't quite think about this. A few talents here are a bit balanced around the whole Wrath of the Lich King client and the Wrath of the Lich King patches. What it means is, well, at level 80, like high-end gear, you have a lot of stats, and the thing in WoW Awakening is that since everything is capped at 60, you don't really have that many stats, which means the talents that are actually meant to scale with equipment that is like really high stat improving, well, it doesn't quite work in the vanilla content because, well, you don't have that many, and I hope you kind of understand what I mean with this, because like 2%, like, for example, if you have like an item that gives 100 agility, that's already like 2 agility, but then there are like items in, well, vanilla that only give maybe 10 if it's a good item, or average one. So yeah, that leaves you almost with nothing, you know. And so it's really not that crazy, I guess. but it adds up because you can go into different talent trees and pick up different kind of attribute increases. It kind of adds up in the end and gives you a pretty nice mixture of just having an overall decent stat build, and that in the end also increases your DPS, of course, your survivability, all that stuff. So bottom line, pretty okay talent, nothing too crazy, probably just worth it if you go with Mark of the Wild. Okay, then let's see. I actually completely skipped Beast Mastery since we don't have a companion. And, well, all of those talents there work with it. You could argue that improved aspect of the Hawk is actually quite okay. But other than that, a lot of those talents require you to at least have a companion active. And, well, since they are not working on WoW Awakening right now, they don't scale, they don't do any damage, just leave it for now. Of course, if you are going for PvP, I guess there's some nice stuff like endurance training, but even for that, I think there are better talents. So, my humble opinion, don't bother with it right now. And of course, especially not if you have a companion. Have not a companion, so... let's see, survival. Survival, we picked Killer Instinct. Just an overall nice talent. 3% crit increase with spells, attacks, really good stuff, so why not? And we also went with Lightning Reflexes, probably one of the strongest talents in the whole game right now if you are going for some sort of agility, physical DPS crit build, something like that. Ranged melee, even if a rogue. Lightning Reflexes 15%. Again, it's not as crazy as maybe in Wrath of the Lich King, but it's still really nice. 15% for 5 talent points. In my opinion, totally worth it. Then also, of course, the Black Arrow and Explosive Shot. So what's kind of nice about this one, of course, like the 6% damage increase. Explosive Shot, just a really good ability overall. I mean, yeah, just really nice DPS. Again, the problem that we have right now, a lot of instant casts, not really something that is even considered a rotation. It's really just instant, running away. I'm kind of flexible, but that's about it. Like, there's no really... like, for example, a steady shot would be amazing, and you actually can get one. And I think about, like, redoing this build, like, as a whole, also with ability resets, because I noticed, like, from some dungeon runs that the DPS can be pretty okay. Maybe not as high as some other builds right now, like with spell power and all things considered, but it's still a nice change, and I think it fits some sort of niche that, like the ranged physical DPS, something that brings something new to the table. I mean, take Black Arrow for example, this 6% damage increase on the target, it's just for everyone, it's a nice debuff to have, so that's really cool. Never mind that, cross that out, it's only your damage, so never mind, but still, there's, I think, if everyone like just goes with spell DPS, there's still a lot of cool stuff to be had if you are going ranged DPS. Some of the talents I will showcase later, I think. Oh, and I skipped Marksmanship. This is like the talent tree where we got the most of our builds, I think. This is Careful Aim, the talent I was talking about earlier with the intellect. Kinda okay, but you might be able to skip it. Again, your intelligence is not that great. This means like 190 attack power, which is actually pretty okay. You could argue maybe even putting more points into intellect, just because, like, as a gnome you get this nice bonus of 5% more intellect. But it's alright. Keep in mind it's only ranged attack power. Then we went with Mortal Shots. Any crit, 30% damage increase. Really, really nice. Just for ranged, but since we have only ranged attacks, well, that's pretty fitting, and I think a really nice ability. You could also argue to go with lethal shots, and I think if I had some more talent points to be spent, I would go into that. Yeah, I mean, we are still having a nice crit chance at the moment. Of course, 40% would be even better, but then we would have to skip on some other talents. And, well, in the end, I just decided to go with other stuff. We also, that's another thing, we went with the talent reset, which meant that we got some ability points and some talent points back because some of the talents are obtained through ability points and talent points. For example, the Felguard. So I really had to make a lot of decisions with really limited resources, and I think if we would go like for a complete wipe, for a complete reset of this spec, I probably would go with lethal shots, just so that we could like even get more crit chance, because as a hunter this is really nice. Then we went with aimed shot, pretty nice for PvP, not the best thing PvE wise, a lot of mana, still okay. It's instant cast, it triggers your global cooldown, and that's probably the biggest issue with this. So, well, if you're going really for PvE rotation, I'm not too sure if this has a place, because like the other shots are just so much more powerful. But then, I mean, they all have a cooldown, so I guess throwing in an aim shot in between is not the worst thing in the world. But well, you might want to skip this actually. Didn't go with improved Hunter's Mark. In my opinion, it's just not that worth it to spend 3 points into it. It's not really that big of an increase in the attack power. Then we have improved Stings. Pretty self-explanatory, huge DPS boost for your Serpent Sting, and then of course also the Chimera Shot, since the synergy in those, I don't know if you played a Hunter yet, but basically the more damage your Serpent Sting does, the better for your Chimera Shot. So that's quite nice. I did not go with Readiness, and this is something I kinda regretted, but I really did not have too much more ability essences to spend, and well, that's pretty much the reasoning, because it's really a really nice ability. I mean, especially for our build, we have so many Hunter cooldowns, also to disengage. It's just something that keeps you mobile, it increases your DPS by a bunch. Just spamming those abilities again after you use them once really helps your output. I didn't go for it since I really just saw too late that when I already had no ability essences left, and there are a lot of really strong talents that I went with. So yeah, unfortunately we didn't get that one. It's okay, it's like not super broken and like not a must-have, but I think it would have been a good pickup. Then we have combat experience, also pretty self-explanatory, total agility and intellect by 4%. In my opinion, must-have, even though, like I explained the stuff with the scaling and Wrath of the Lich King and vanilla itemization, of course, still strong. Really good one. Intellect, agility, exactly what you need. I didn't go with this one. Could have thought about it, but our auto shots are actually not that big of a factor in our DPS rotation, just because we have like so many spells, so many shots to, well, squeeze into that. So yeah, I think there are better talents. The True Shot Aura, of course, just really good one, really strong one. 5% AP increase, pretty nice all around. Also for your teammates, so this is like another thing. I guess like other builds, like all the spell power builds we are seeing right now, I probably wouldn't pick that one up, so it's just pretty nice to have for your team members. We would argue that piercing shots is also quite nice, and if I had some more points to spend, I probably would have gone for this one. It's also a nice debuff, also good against like all this invisibility going on currently, especially in PvP, so that there's a lot of stuff you can purge, but like bleeding is really hard to stop. So that's quite nice to get a debuff going that can't be dispelled and that reveals the enemy. So piercing shots, a talent that is worth thinking about. Then we have Master Marksman, also just nice damage increase. Gives you some sustainability for PvE because of the mana cost reduce. Yeah, critical strike even more improved. So hey, pretty much the better version of lethal shots, which is already a pretty good talent. So then we have silencing shot, really awesome for PvP. I mentioned this like in the earlier video. Gives us some ability to kill enemies just by silencing them in a crucial moment and then just nuking them down with everything we have. Improved steady shot, something really, if I would have gone like for the steady shot in the rotation, it would have been so much better, and then this would have been a talent well worth picking up. So if you ever go for some sort of hunter ranged physical DPS build, then well, make sure your rotation is good, and you probably want to pick up that one as well. Marked for death. Also, I did not have enough points to spend. I think I also made some mistakes to which I come later. So actually, there might have been some points to spare, and Marked for Death is probably one that could have been picked up. But again, it's really about pets, so that falls off. Like, yeah, it's also your damage, but it's again the pet component just falls flat. But yeah, steady shot and chimera shot. So kill shot, arcane shot are not in our rotation. We didn't pick that one up. But I think if I would have gone for a steady shot, then Marked for Death would have been the way to go, just because of the damage increase of the critical strike on those kind of abilities. But yeah, no companions and only the chimera shot profiting from this in our current build. So it was pretty much yeah, not picked up. Although a very strong talent, and for a proper rotation, a proper build, probably a must-have, to be honest. Then of course chimera shot, this is a must-have for sure if you are going for some sort of hunter build. Just really strong overall. Provides you with some major DPS boost, keeps your Serpent Sting refreshed, and just a really nice ability. I think we already mentioned survival, so let's go on. We are going to the Protection Paladin actually. It's a bit weird, but there's like this one-handed weapon specialization, and this increases all damage done by 3%. And yeah, we have a one-hand weapon equipped, so I thought, okay, that's quite nice. You could argue that like the Marked for Death, like the talent we just covered, is probably the better way to go if you have like a steady shot. So just a pretty self-explanatory talent here. Damage boost 3%, quite nice. But there might be other talents that are even better. I think it's just a pretty solid talent in this aspect, like 3%, why not? Then we go to Retribution Paladin, and pretty much the same thing here. Crusade, all damage cost and all damage cost against humanoids by 3% additionally. So we have the 3%, it's pretty much just a better talent than the Protection Paladin one. 3% damage increase, and then also the 3% against certain enemies. So yeah, all around good talent, and like, at least in my book, probably something that you should pick up as a DPS player. Yeah, no matter like what build you have, I think this is just a very solid talent. Then we go to Assassination. And in Assassination, I didn't pick up too much. I think I only picked up the Murder. Again, all damage cost by 4% for just 2 points. I think it doesn't get more efficient than that, to be honest. Really strong ability. You have to keep in mind, like Rogue, Red Paladins, warriors, I really refrained from getting too many attack power talents out of those trees, since I learned from my mistake last time, and that is that it really just increases the melee attack power. So that's the reasoning behind that. And yeah, stuff like this. I mean, you can't misread this. You know, this is like 3% damage increase. This is not only for melee attacks, it's overall. So it's a really solid ability, and yeah, why not pick it up? Then we have the Subtlety Rogue. Subtlety. Huh. Always subtleties. That's a bit weird. I always pronounce it in a different way. Subtlety. Okay, Subtlety. Sub-Rogue. And here we went with Sinister Calling. Again, additional 15% of your agility, so in my opinion a must-have. And then also pretty nice in case there are some rogues under you that well, want to pick up this talent, because they also get in hemorrhage and backstab an additional 10% damage boost. So pretty strong stuff. And I think especially like in this talent tree, there were some talents also in the combat tree, like for example the Savage Combat, but it doesn't work like with ranged attack power. So that's a big issue, and that's the reasoning why we didn't pick that up. Then we have the Elemental. I think I picked up the Thunderstorm. Pretty nice for PvP. In case anyone gets close to you, you can just push them back. The reason why it's not like the best thing right now, I also explained in an earlier video, since, well, a lot of ranged spell power DPS is currently running around, so they don't really mind being in a distance. So yeah, for melee class it's pretty nice to push them back. Other than that, also it refreshes some mana, so also like in the PvE way, it's quite nice to get back 8% of your mana. Other than that, nothing too crazy here. What else do we have? I think in the enhancement we went with the Feral Spirit. It dispels, so to speak, like it replaces your companion if you have currently one going. So if you have a companion, which you shouldn't because right now they just don't work, the Feral Spirit will replace it, and this is like the only companion that works right now really properly as far as I'm concerned. That's why I picked it up again. Nice DPS boost, they really deal a lot of damage, they stick to your enemy, and they basically also heal you, interrupt the enemy with the auto attacks, like in case someone is casting, they reset their timer a bit. Just a really solid spell in my book. Yeah, pick it up. I think this is one of the must-have abilities, to be honest, in case you don't have a companion, that is, because yeah, it's just really strong. Then we have one more, and that is the Furry Warrior, and that is pretty much just Rampage. Yeah, Ramp. And well, 5% more crit, why not? 1 talent point, I think. Might have been 2 ability essences as well, so actually not that easy to obtain, but still worth it. I mean, 5% more crit, and you do your raid and battleground members a favor with this. So yeah, also pretty strong spell in my opinion, a talent, and one that you should probably pick up at any given moment. Yeah, and I think this is actually it regarding the talents. I didn't go with the Metamorphosis this time around, simply because it bugged out on me, like in the last time I got it. If they fix it, this might be a really strong ability. I mean, 600% armor boost, it's insane. You are untouchable, like physical DPS wise, but then again, you know it, right now a lot of spell power going around, so, well, not really anything that helps you out on that point, I guess. But also 20%, I think, damage increase, right? Really, really strong. It's really a strong spell, and probably even more worth picking up for some spell power heavy classes. Just pretty good stuff, but not for me right now since it's a bit bugged, and since the meta is in a way that physical damage is not really a problem. So yeah, that concludes it. I think that covers it all for now. Let's just go out real quick, and then I will try to show you the rotation. I'm not even sure if you could call it a rotation, to be honest, since, well, it's just a bunch of instant casts. But yeah, we start out with the Hunter's Mark, then we get our Serpent Sting going, maybe like a Black Arrow, and by that point a lot of the enemies are already dead, so it really does quite some nice DPS. It's nothing too crazy, and the Black Arrow of course also has a cooldown. Make sure to get Serpent Sting going before Chimera Shot, of course, and then you should be fine. You could argue that maybe the Explosive Shot is a bit better to cast first, so you cast this one, then the Chimera Shot, and after, well, the global cooldowns and everything is said and done, you almost have your Explosive Shot ready again. So yeah, let's just go for some more enemies here, but I guess you get the point. It's really not that hard. Use your Black Arrow whenever possible. I mean, you also can mix in your aim shot, of course. Oh, Flame Shock 5, that's actually a pretty nice tome there. But yeah, let's see how much, like, also I probably need way more hit chance right now. That's also maybe a thing I should consider, and that is just, well, not as great. So really not a strong build right now, as you can see. I showed you the talents, which I think are still good and that I would recommend you picking up. Just some overall solid stuff. But, well, some stuff like Train Soul, for example, we couldn't reset this one since this was just a talent reset. And then again, the mishmash between PvE and PvP, it just doesn't work out and leaves us weak on both ends instead of like strong on both ends. Also, always make sure, of course, to, well, buff yourself up. That increases, like, all of the stuff, like Blessing of Kings, Mark of the Wild, gives you a lot more stats and makes you a lot stronger. Of course, also, like stuff like Ice Armor, Demon Armor, like PvP wise, really good stuff. But yeah, I guess that's about it. Like in a PvP fight, it's kind of nice, you know, this was, I mean, you can just strafe and then run back, use your sprint even against like a melee physical DPS. This build is pretty strong, but besides that, PvE wise, I also recorded like the UBRS run. I'm not too sure if I should like cut it a bit together and then upload it as well. It was kind of interesting. DPS wise, we are really quite okay, but it could be much better, basically, and it really could. And so yeah, let's just log off for now and say farewell. I hope this brought some insight in things and that you can understand like my thought process behind certain talents a bit better, that you have like an overview of what I actually got in the talents and in the stats, and well, that you can learn from my mistakes as well. That would be probably the best thing to do and to get out of this. So yeah, to summarize things, take care of your rotation. Try to go for one PvP or PvE, and take care of class masking, like don't get talents that improve your immediate attack power if you are ranged, of course. And yeah, I guess that's all I can say for now. I hope you join me on the next episode. If you enjoyed this one, then feel free to leave a like and maybe even subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. But yeah, for now, I sign off. Stay awesome, guys, and take care. Bye.